Hello, everyone. Welcome to the O'Rourke Report. Thanks for dropping by today. I want to go over, or I'm going to discuss today something that kind of struck me over the last couple of. I guess this was a story. Maybe I'm behind on this. This story is about a week and a half old, but the story is how and I'm yeah, we're going to call them the mainstream media, the USA Today's, the Today Show, the various very staid outlets that need to do a 24/7 news output. So it's like relentless. But about a week and a half ago, the mainstream media was touting the fact that ooh, tastes have changed. They're bringing back the King of the Hill. The tastes have changed. You mean mainstream media, the 2024 election didn't, kind of send you a clue in that direction? That the pendulum has swung or is in the process of swinging. Once something goes up this way, it's eventually going to go up this way. It's what energy does. It's not the pendulum that has the energy, it is the pendulum that reacts to the energy. The pendulum being people, the energy is this natural shift from a very liberal agenda to a more conservative agenda, and somewhere in the middle is what it will settle down to, and we'll go forward to the next one, the next 30, 40 years, whatever it is people carrying on about. So just had to laugh a little bit at these news outlets that they just are constantly looking for stuff to print or to say or to take a position on that they thought the bringing back of King of the Hill, which inarguably had one of the best animated characters ever, Bobby Hill, totally great. He is now in his early 20s on the show, and he has his career is he's working in various restaurants. I think he owns one of the restaurants, so he's taking the chef route. We'll see him on Top Chef one season, I'm sure. So anyway, yeah, the mainstream media has woken up to that. You think they would have woken up to it from the success of Yellowstone when it first came out. I think its first two seasons were far superior to anything else they put out there. They just got ridiculous, especially with the daughter, which was one of my least favorite characters ever. Here's someone who is relentlessly drunk, has an inability to get along with people, an inability to problem solve without it, blowing up into a drunken mess. The writers would have us believe that she really is the heart and soul of Yellowstone, and just a stupid character. That's my 2 cents on that character. It's like the other Taylor Sheridan that I don't know why I watched it. I kept thinking maybe it'll get better. Was Lioness. You're gonna tell me a 110-pound actress doesn't look like she's got any muscle tone, or she's got muscle tone, but certainly not powerfully built. That she can take on a 6'4" very muscular guy and beat him up physically. Come on. I mean, just that alone. Watching that alone, I said to myself, "This." I'll just watch that. What do they call that expression? Hate watching? Yeah, I did a little bit of hate watching on that show. So anyway, yeah, mainstream media finally got the memo that tastes have changed, as they inevitably do. And it's an energy thing, and especially if one swing of the pendulum goes too far out of whack, it's going to counterbalance, it's going to correct. It's just like Wall Street, I guess. So anyway, yeah, that's what I have to say about the mainstream media. The other thing I wanted to, where are we? Okay. The other thing I wanted to discuss today, I'm going to flesh it out more, but I'm changing my take on because I think this is what it's evolved to. My take on the reality TV shows that I usually report and talk about, they are primarily Bravo shows, because they really are dominating that market. Um, they put out the best quality, but they're just so formulaic now that really the only reason to watch the shows, um, besides the lifestyle shots, which I always enjoy, and I think what do they call it? Aspirational. There's an actual term that they use for that type of mise en scene. But okay, so it's so formulaic what the casts are going to be doing because they're all under the same pressure from the producers. Producers slash editors. I'm going to use them not separately, but with a producer editor. The guy, the men and women who actually create the story. See, what happens is they've got the cameras on these women pretty much all the time. They've got hours and hours and hours of footage that they have to then decide how they're going to piece the story of the season together. These producers, editors sit in a room and say, okay, what's our trajectory for this season? We're not just going to, film them having paella in a Spanish restaurant. We want enough pressure on these women, in this case of the housewife shows, that they're going to somehow act out and have a screaming fest at the dinner table, which they inevitably do. They fall right in the trap. They do it each and every time. I mean, this week, what did we have? We had Miami, which was a relentless fight, and we had the OC, which was a relentless fight. That's all it is. So I am turning away from really caring what the cast does because I don't care after a couple of years. They're just manufactured. They're living and dying by their by the comments section in their Instagram feeds or their TikTok feeds or whatever their feeds are. And is my Roomba about to go off? I'm hearing beeping in the background. Yes, it is. Hold on a second. Let me pipe that thing down. Okay, there'll be a little white noise in the background. Okay, where was I? Okay, the story is how the producers are stitching that whatever they want the story arc to be for that season. And they're the ones to watch because they're the ones who decide each and every frame you see on that show and then the sequence in which they cut the frame in. You will often hear that from some of the cast members that some of the clever editing that may happen is they all have a dinner table. One is having a fight with Mary Jane and says something at the beginning of the evening, but when you actually see the show, they're cutting that comment in toward the end of the season. Well, that thing is really loud, isn't it? Hold on 1 second. There you go. I just sent it to its home base. So that's the angle I'm going to take it from, because I do believe that there's such pressure on these producers and editors to come up with a dramatic story that these cast members, many of whom are not sympathetic at all, these cast members are almost like Pavlov's dog. They're constantly being poked into behaviors that they may not, in the real world, in reality, they may not act out on. So the one thing I do want to mention in this week's episode about producers and about the edit is and I don't know if this is my imagination or not. I don't think it is. And I would love to hear comments on this. I think the editors go out of their way to make sure, and I've mentioned this before, make sure we see all the little foibles about cast members, whether it be, we always see the line where the extensions are put in. In other words, they will never miss an opportunity to show you that Tamara's got extensions in, thereby devaluing Tamara even more. Besides her behavior, I mean, she's, I have to say, of all the housewives, she's probably the one I feel in real life is a not a very nice person. The other ones I have certain levels of sympathy for. I have no sympathy for her. But anyway, producers will never miss a chance to show you that extension line, to show you that they were shooting Larsa Pippen. Let's say the camera was here on not this week's episode, last week's episode, and shot in such an angle that you could see the duck contour of her lips. She's got them injected with all sorts of things. Did I have to see this shot? No, but the producers made sure that this shot was part of the story. So you would look at it and go, oh, look at her duck lips. So they never fail to show you imperfections on these women, especially if they're around vanity, whether it be the injections that they get, the fillers that they get, the extensions they put in their hair, the ridiculous gobs of makeup they put on their face, the absolutely idiotic high heels they wear. I mean, we could go on and on and on. But would they trip or fall somehow? Boy, that's exactly what's going to be in the show. And that's what the producers are showing us. So their secondary underground game is they know housewives, like sports teams, have their fans and their detractors. They are playing to both sides when they edit these shows, especially if there's someone who has been cast by their own behavior as the villainess of that season. They will make sure that they put in every bad shot they could possibly find on this person. And we tune in over and over and over again. So there's two types of reality shows and producers. There are ones that they may hit it out of the park the very first season. I think the very first season of Jersey had Teresa flipping the table, which was, I'm sure, unprompted by a producer. They didn't know what they had their hands on. They didn't anticipate such lack of control. Such lack of control in a social situation as demonstrated by Teresa Giudice. What else is she going to do? She doesn't have the skill set to navigate confrontation. She didn't have it. What she does have is probably violence and crashing and smashing things. She did it. So after that, after they captured lightning in a bottle in New Jersey, the producer said, we got to top this year after year after year. Now you get into 15, 16 years. Do you really care about anybody on this cast? Is there anybody you could care about? Well, you can appreciate the assassins. Margaret's an assassin. You can appreciate her. Nothing bothers her, but she knows how to go in for the kill. Oh, God. So, watching how the producers decide to cut and edit a show is something that I'm going to be concentrating on more and more. Okay, I've gone on and on. I really do want to hear your opinion on this stuff. Message me, put a comment down below. Oh, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, beep, beep, like, subscribe. And I will look forward to seeing you next week here on the O'Rourke Report. Let's find the little turn off button.